From Uttar Pradesh, Varanasi Kabir's dohas were savage because they refused to spare anyone. He attacked the Hindu Brahmins around the year 1440. On the banks of the Lahartara pond in the city of Varanasi, a baby was found floating on a lotus leaf. The baby had been abandoned. He was crying. He was alive. The people who came to the pond that morning saw the lotus leaf, saw the baby, and looked at each other in surprise. None of them, at that moment, claimed him. A young Muslim couple from the nearby weavers' colony, Neeru and Neema, were passing by on their way to the river to wash cloth. They saw the baby. They had no children of their own. They had been married for many years and had given up hope. Neema looked at her husband. Neeru looked back at her. They picked up the baby. They carried him home. They named him Kabir. Kabir grew up in the weavers' colony of Varanasi. He learned, as any weaver's son would, to throw the shuttle through the warp threads on the small wooden loom that his father kept under a thatched roof. He learned, as any Muslim boy in 15th century Varanasi would, to recite the Basmala and to fast during Ramadan. But Kabir was different from other boys. He was unusually clever. He asked uncomfortable questions. He noticed, even as a child, that the Hindus of Varanasi treated the Muslims of Varanasi with quite contempt, and that the Muslims of Varanasi returned the contempt in equal measure. He noticed that the Hindu priests would not eat food touched by a weaver, and that the Muslim mullahs would not pray in a Hindu temple. He noticed that everyone said their own God was the only God, and everyone else's God was a false God. He found, even as a child, that none of this made very much sense to him. In Varanasi, in those years, there lived a famous Hindu saint named Ramananda. He was the most respected guru of the Vaishnav sect in North India. He had thousands of disciples. He would come, every morning before sunrise, to the Panchganga Ghat on the Ganga river to perform his ablutions. Kabir, as a young man, wanted to be Ramananda's disciple. He went to Ramananda's monastery to ask. The doorkeeper turned him away. A Muslim weaver, the doorkeeper said, cannot study under a Brahman saint. Try a mosque. Kabir thought about this for a few days. He then formed a plan. The next morning, before sunrise, he went to the Panchganga Ghat and lay down across the lowest step. He covered himself in a white cotton sheet. He waited. Ramananda, descending the steps in the dark to perform his ablutions, accidentally stepped on Kabir's body. The saint cried out, Ram! Ram! Invoking the Lord's name in startled apology. Kabir threw off the sheet, stood up, and said, I have it. You have given me your mantra. I am now your disciple. Ramananda was speechless. He looked at the young man. He looked at the Muslim's clothing. He looked at the sincerity in the young man's eyes. He laughed quietly. He said, My child, you are. Kabir, from that day, was a poet. He wrote in a dialect of Hindi that was a mixture of Avdi, Braj Bhasha, and the spoken Bazar language of Varanasi. His verses were short, usually just 2 lines. The form is called the doha. 2 lines, with a strict syllable count, with a rhyme at the end of both lines. The first line presents an idea or an image, the second line drives it home like a hammer driving a nail. Kabir composed thousands of dohas. The villagers of Uttar Pradesh memorized them. The traders carried them to Punjab and to Gujarat and to Bihar. Within a single generation, Kabir's dohas were being recited in Hindu households, in Muslim households, in Sikh households, in Jain households, in Shudra households, in Brahman households. They were being recited by children on the way to school. They were being recited by old men sitting in tea shops. They were being recited by women grinding flour at dawn. The dohas were short. They were memorable. And they were savage. Kabir's dohas were savage because they refused to spare anyone. He attacked the Hindu Brahmins for thinking that purity came from caste birth rather than from how one lived. He attacked the Muslim mullahs for thinking that loudly calling the azan from a minaret made one closer to God. He attacked pilgrims for thinking that bathing in the Ganga washed away sins, when in fact it just got one wet. He attacked yogis for thinking that twisting one's body into difficult shapes made one holy, when in fact it just made one sore. He attacked priests who memorized scriptures without understanding them. He attacked rich men who gave alms publicly but treated their servants cruelly. He attacked, in fact, everyone, except those who, in their own quiet hearts, recognized that God did not have a religion and was found, in equal measure, by anyone of any community who looked sincerely. His most famous doha, perhaps, was simply this, Pothi pad pad jagmua, Pandit bhayo na koi. Dhai aakhar prem ke, padne so pandit hoi. Books were read and read until the world died, but no one became wise. The 2.5 letters that spell the word love, whoever reads those, that person is wise. As Kabir grew old, both the Hindus and the Muslims of Varanasi began to claim him. The Hindus said, he was a disciple of Ramananda, he sang of Ram, he is one of us. The Muslims said, he was raised by Niru and Nima, his name is Arabic, he is one of us. Kabir, when his disciples brought him these arguments, would just smile. He was none of these things, he told them, and he was all of these things. Religious labels were like clothes, he said. They were sewn by men. They were useful for keeping the body warm. They did not belong to God. Towards the very end of his life, around 1518, Kabir, then nearly 80, decided he would die. There is a Hindu superstition that anyone who dies in Varanasi goes straight to heaven, and a corresponding superstition that anyone who dies in the small town of Maghar, 80 miles to the east, goes straight to hell. Kabir, hearing this, said, I will die in Maghar. He wanted to prove, with his own death, that no place is unholy, and that God is not bound by geography. Kabir travelled to Maghar in the cold weather of 1518. He sat down beside a small spring outside the town. He told his disciples, a mixed group of Hindus and Muslims who had followed him all the way, that he would die that night. He lay down on a small reed mat. He pulled a white cotton sheet over his face. He did, in fact, die that night. In the morning, his disciples gathered around him. A great fight broke out. The Hindus among the disciples wanted to cremate the body, in the Hindu way. The Muslims among the disciples wanted to bury the body, in the Muslim way. The two groups began to argue. The argument turned into shouting. The shouting turned into pushing. At some point in the argument, one of the older disciples, exhausted, perhaps wanting silence, pulled back the cotton sheet to look at the master's body one last time. Under the sheet, the legend says, there was no body. There were only fresh flowers. The Hindus and Muslims, the legend continues, each took half the flowers. The Hindus cremated their half. The Muslims buried their half. Two shrines still stand, today, on the spot one Hindu and one Muslim, about 50 feet apart, separated by a wall, both honoring Kabir. Kabir's verses were eventually written down. The Sikh community, when their fifth Guru Arjan Dev compiled the Adi Granth in 1604, included 541 of Kabir's hymns inside the Sikh scripture, making Kabir one of the most quoted authors in the Sikh holy book even though he was not Sikh. His own followers, known as the Kabirpanthis, built monasteries across North India and Bihar, where they still meet today to sing his dohas at evening prayer. Modern Indian schoolchildren in Hindi medium schools learn his dohas by rote, Bura jo dekhan main chala, bura na milya koi. Jo dil khoja apna, mujhsa bura na koi. When I went looking for evil in the world, I found no one evil. When I looked in my own heart, I found no one as evil as myself. Mahatma Gandhi, in the 1920s, would quote Kabir in his speeches against communal violence. The weaver of Varanasi, the orphan boy, the disciple by trick of Ramananda, the man who would not pick a religion, had become, by the time of independence, one of the great moral voices of the Indian subcontinent. He is, today, simply called Sant Kabir, the saint. Tomorrow's story comes from another corner of India. Subscribe to walk with us through the folklore of every region, in your language.